The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Thanks for tuning in. This is the McGee Uncensored Podcast, and I'm your host, McGee. And with my mic in hand, we're going to have one doozy of an episode as I discuss my time at community college. I keep promising myself and telling myself not to rush through the podcast when there's a good story to tell. Let it build. Let the anticipation arrive to the listeners. Enjoy the ride of the story. I am now turning back the clock to August of 2000. I enrolled into Westmoreland County Community College with my intention on transferring somewhere after I finished there. I started out at the local Mon Valley branch, which I read recently. They shuttered the doors because of low enrollment, and that's such a shame because I had a really good start there. I would take these classes would transfer. That was my main goal. Meet once a week for like 3 hours. Night classes sucked. That was like the bane of my existence throughout my entire college career. I hated night classes. Well, anyway, like most first-time college students, took a lot of intro classes just to get them out of the way. Can't say that there was any enlightening moments at my time at the Mon Valley branch. It was close. And I thank all the people that drove me because I didn't have a license yet. So that was interesting. Family and friends, I do appreciate that. Where most of the classes a walk in the park? Absolutely. I ended up taking the classes with a lot of the same people. A couple of classes with the same people. I took these 2 psychology classes. It was like my first year there. So, that first year was the entire experience was at the satellite campus. And I can't remember her name. Sometimes you wish you would write things down, not to make it up at the moments like this. Had I known 16 years ago I was going to do a podcast, I definitely would have written all this down. My journey. 7 years of college down a drain. But yeah, the psychology teacher, she was pretty cool. She ended up moving to the main campus. I saw her, and I really don't know what ended up happening with her. I remember this older woman from, I think, Denora. She was in a class. I remember she showed me a picture of her daughter one time. Her daughter was cute. I think her daughter was a senior in high school at the time. And I just, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to walk to your house? Because I don't drive. Forget her name. Forget the daughter. Don't know what happened. She was a nice woman. Always had back issues. She sat on like donuts or something. I don't know. She was pretty cool. Not much to tell. Took a lot of the classes with people I went to high school with. I had an agenda. I knew what I was going to do, and some of them were just goofing around and still goof around. And that's cool, whatever. Still say hi to them, still get along with them. And that was interesting. That first year was okay. Nothing great. And I ran out of classes to take there. So, got to go to the main campus in Youngwood, Pennsylvania. Oh man, that was interesting. I didn't pick a major at first. I was just taking classes. And when I was going to head to the main campus, I was going to go into criminal justice. And this is where things get, I guess, interesting. And I'm going to watch what I say. Not that I expect these people to listen, but you never know. I got to cover my ass legally. So I may not use real names. And I always say allegedly. Allegedly. The community college was an interesting mix of people. It's very diverse. You have a lot of, obviously you got a lot of kids coming straight out of high school, probably not knowing what they want to do, and they end up there. A lot of people I know from bigger high schools in the area went there because it was pretty easy for them, I guess, to get to. It was cheap. Luckily, I had my first 2 years paid for, which any students, it was one female, one male for any high school in Westmoreland County. At the time, I don't know if they still do it. They might, from each high school, can get a ride paid for at least their first 2 years. I ended up going to community college for 3 years. But, that satellite campus branch, I don't know if I count that. That was like rookie A ball, like me in a Florida Golf League, Gulf Coast League. Anyway, getting back to the main campus. Decided to go into criminal justice. And I'm also going to talk about a couple of the other classes that I remember that I decided, that I took. So the two main instructors for the major were Gary Aaron and Randy Slagle. Aaron was the former sheriff of Westmoreland County. I got along with him. I thought he was pretty cool. Pretty easy classes. The major was pretty easy. Slagle was okay. It's going to be pretty interesting to get into experiences with that and conflicts. See, I started main campus August 2001. So obviously, like right around the end of August. So we're not even in in classes 2 weeks. 9/11 happens. Now, I don't know Slagle that well at the time. He comes in, he's trying to sell these pins, these patriotic buttons for $1, and nobody bought them. He's like, I see how patriotic you guys are. Well, if I wanted to put tchotchkes on my book bag, I had plenty of buttons at home to do so. Just had to be there. And some of the people that I had the classes with, I remember some of the names, man, and I don't know what happened. And I don't know what happened to them, but it's always fun to reflect. I remember this Bob Davis guy. I think he was from Salzburg at the time, and he was like in his mid-30s. And he was an alright guy. I remember a couple classes I took with people who I ended up seeing at Cal U later. I remember this Will. His name was Will. And this guy, if you look at the kid that killed all those people at Sandy Hook, this is what this Will guy looked like. Was a quiet kid, kept himself. He had an interesting attire, let's put it that way. I think he wore shorts all year round, even in the winter. I don't remember him wearing a pair of jeans. Black shoes, white socks past the calf. I mean, that's fine. That's your style. That's no problem. Would carry a huge, like a duffel bag, book bag. And he always wore like his blue winter coat. And I remember I saw him at Cal U when I transferred to Cal U. I'm walking on campus there. And he's in front of me. And I was like, holy shit, it's Will. And I was like, Will, remember me? I don't probably not. I was like, we were in criminal justice classes together with, at 3 C's. And he's like, oh, yeah, strange guy. I think that was the last time I ever saw him. So it was like fall of 2004. I know I'm fast forwarding, going back and forth again, but, it's interweaving here, people. Stick with me, stay along. Yeah, I gotta be careful what I'm gonna say here. I never found it difficult classes with Erwin. Never did. Slagle was a cat. This guy dressed like he was an extra on Miami Vice. He apparently he did Vice work in South Carolina like 20 years prior. He would do these Mickey Mouse quizzes. We would take tests and have other students check tests. So not even the honor system. If you became buddy with people and they got your paper, we could just give you an A because you never checked the test himself. So it was easy. The major was a joke. He always made females go up to the board. And that was something that I never paid attention to until somebody pointed out. I always had females go to the board. Maybe they had nice penmanship. And I gotta say, I got nice penmanship. I don't know if anybody ever saw my writing, but I got a pretty nice cursive going on. You know, I was never asked to go to the board. You know, there was just a lot of shady business. I'll get into the criminal justice fraternity. That was the club down there, which is basically just a bunch of brown nosers. Yeah, it was just was I challenged? Not at all. I don't think I was ever really challenged in my collegiate career, ever. I found a lot of the work to be nonsense and just boring. Yeah, I mean, as I'm thinking through the classes, I'm trying to think which direction I want to take this story, because I want to stay on track, and I might get sidetracked a little bit, but we'll see. I took I think it was like a forensics class. You create your own crime scene. Now, you could have partnered up with people, and I sat in the back of the classroom. This one dude sat next to me. And, you know, like I said, you get all kinds of people that go to 3Cs. You know, you get the people that are just going there because it's cheap. Going there because it's, you know, maybe not the best thing they want to do or not the thing that they want to do. And either they're forced or I honestly don't know. And I forget the guy's name. I forget a lot of people's names. Okay, I really didn't get to know too many people at 3Cs. I remember faces. I know that for sure. But the guy that sat next to me, I was like, all right, I guess we'll partner up. And I forget where he lived at the time. He didn't live close to me. All of a sudden, he misses like 2 weeks of class. I don't know. I don't know if he said he went to Disney or something. I don't know. Some bullshit story. I ended up making the crime scene myself. I went to my high school. The art teacher at the time, who I'm friends with, helped me out. I had two friends that were still in school at the time, still in high school at the time, just helped me set some things up. I had my brother portray the victim. And this is how serious I took it. I had my brother lay on the steps, and we did really nice professional photos with a we were talking 2000. Might have been spring 2002. I'm bouncing around here, so just, forgive me. Yeah, I think it was spring 2002. Yeah, anyway. So I was like, well, obviously I didn't have anybody do it with me. I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. Don't care. Did it all. Blood looked real. People were like, how'd you get that blood to look so real? I go, I got fake blood. I mean, once again, it wasn't like as if people were... And I was somebody else who did a crime scene. Let me tell you what they did. But, yeah, the end of it was, we found out after conclusion, we figured that the victim just tripped over his shoelaces and hit his head on a railing and just bled to death. I think I don't know if I aced it. I know I passed it, but I didn't give a shit. I did not care at all. I was like, forget this. These two girls in the class. Remember Jackie? Brush? Anyway, I don't know how I still remember these names. And her one friend, who I don't remember at all, they made like a little house, like this huge, it was just ridiculous. And they're like, yeah, the perpetrator went out the back door. I was like, oh my God. Well, look, if the professor treats the class like a joke, students are going to treat it like a joke, the major like a joke, plain and simple. We're just one guy, Frank Sebastianelli. He's a wrestler now. He goes by Sebastian Ego. And I think he installs fences for a living. I mean, that's cool. He didn't give a shit at all. I just remember him talking to Slagle. He's like, okay. Some of these classes. State Trooper took a class with us. So obviously Slagle was kissing his ass the entire time. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, here we go. So he came in, and it's like, the guy could have never came to class. Seriously, I mean, he showed up the majority of the time, but that he's getting his classes paid for by, the state. I don't know. He's not paying for them. It's probably some incentive program. And they're going to pass him. Yeah, it was a complete joke. He's going to pass him. Burden, I think was his last name. He had a decent gift for gab. He was all right. He did his presentation. I wasn't awed by him. I wasn't blown away. Criminal justice wasn't going to be my life. It was just there at the time. I mean, I could just name numerous people who I know went to the major, and they're doing nothing now. I think 2 of them may have been cops around here. One, I think, just like works in insurance. Some girl I know who I ended up seeing at Cal. I think she works like insurance. She was a bartender. One had some write-up in a paper, and I read it, and I go, why don't you just do a write-up on me? Because there's absolutely no content in a write-up. It's a fluff piece of shit, really. Whatever she was, I don't know what the hell she's doing. I don't know if she's working probation or at-risk youth or something that's really not that important. Like the middle-aged women that, went back to school. What were they going to get? What kind of jobs were they going to get? And I'm not dismissing them, and I'm not being sexist, and I'm not being rude, but what were they going to do? I guarantee, I remember a girl, she opened up a furniture store in the area here. I was like, well, all those classes, Cheyenne Bird, this black woman, she's a black chick. She was hilarious. I don't know whatever happened to her. She was pretty cool. But there was always speculation with certain female students and their relationship with Slagle. I don't know. I mean, he's the type of guy that somebody would tune this in and let him listen and then file some injunction. But I'm not saying anything demeaning. Like I said, there's always speculation, because the criminal justice fraternity, the club that was there, like I said, was just a bunch of ass kissers. That's all it was. It was people who would go to his, I don't even have a class, it was his office, and they sit there all day, and then they fall in the class, and it's like, I don't got time for this shit. I stood on my own merits, because my hometown, it's like I always had some kind of story to tell during class, or of activities, and it's pretty interesting. Ron Thompson, I remember this guy, Ron Thompson. Don't know what happened to him. I don't know what happened to anybody. I didn't make friends at 3Cs. I didn't. I think I'm like friends with maybe 2 or 3 on Facebook. That's about it, because they were actually pretty cool, and I remember them, and I always say happy birthday to them. And Casey Strickenberger, she's married now. Her last name's Jones. She was a nice girl. But going back to the criminal justice fraternity, these people were just pricks. The people in there. There's this girl there. Oh God, I can't remember. I had her name the entire time. I had her name, and now I can't remember it. But she looked like the professional wrestler Chyna, who recently passed away. Rest in peace, whatever. In the face, she looked like Chyna, but she had blonde hair, and she had graduated, I think, a year before I did, but she'd still come to 3Cs and hang out. So it was just a little strange, very strange, with the criminal justice. Like she'd, and I don't know anybody who's like, man, I can't wait to go back to community college to hang out. And I never got that. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I'm using language, but it was just a little bit ridiculous. It was, because people were talking like, what the heck is she doing back here? I never had classes with her. Thank God I never had classes with her. But my last semester there, the Steelers came to play the criminal justice fraternity basketball team, which is a bunch of ringers. There was nobody actually who played there. I mean, I wanted to play, but I was like, to practice. Slagle brought in a bunch of ringers. Okay. And the Steelers played and whatnot. And I remember a couple of girls got together trying to make some dances, and I don't know. I was like, I work it, because I became friends with this one girl. I think she was from Charleroy at the time. Local girl. I forget her name. That's like a recurring theme here, but she was really cool. She was really nice. And she's like, oh, if you want to work, I'll pick you up. And then, I was like, all right, whatever, no problem. So I get there, and that chick who, had some sort of attachment to 3Cs and had me dress up in this hot-ass Scruff McGruff rip-off outfit. And somebody's supposed to walk me around, okay? Now, I don't know anybody who's dressed up in a big character, okay? You can't see anything. I put this big dog head on. I can't see anything. Somebody's supposed to walk me around. But no, nobody's walking me around. And Slagle had these, I don't know, I think they're basset hounds or some shit dogs, I don't know. And I can't see. And it's hot as balls in this outfit. I almost kill one of the dogs. I'm stepping it because I'm stepped on them. They're like, oh, you gotta watch your gun. I said, I can't see. So I was like, I'm done. I was like, get me. I was like, I took the costume off. Said, have a nice day. Two of my buddies had come in to watch the game. And as soon as the game was over, I was like, I'm out. I was like, I don't know if you're supposed to hang out to clean up or go to Pizza Hut or some shit. I don't know. I wasn't going. But that was a joke. Because I was probably one of the most athletic people at the time that I could still play. Because my health over the years, for those who know me, I just can't do it no more. But I would have been able to still play basketball. And I would have played up against the Steelers. I mean, they had, I think, John Fiala there. I don't know. It's not like they brought like superstars. It was all like practice squad guys. And maybe one, I don't know if Hines Ward was there or not. I don't know. But that was shambles. It was just hilarious. My entire time here was hilarious. There's a movie night. The criminal justice fraternity was doing. And two of my buddies from home were like, all right, let's go down and check it out. Or like activities night or something. In the gym down there. And I played basketball against this one guy. Now, mind you, I'm not dressed to play basketball. I'm just playing around. He might have beat me. I think he did. And I really don't care. So when I end up going to that Steelers event, we have to go to like one of the other, like Commissioner's Hall or something to pick up like the juices or drinks for the event. And this guy goes, oh, he's like, yeah, he's like, I beat you in basketball. Like, yep, because I was counting. Another prick that was working, in the criminal justice club. And Steve, what the hell is Steve's last name? He wanted to be the first Republican sheriff of Westmoreland County in like 40 years. Well, guess what? Didn't happen because the current sheriff is Republican and he just won re-election. So Steve, I don't know what happened to you, but you failed, buddy. You failed. It would. Yeah, I'm not gonna name this next girl because there was. Yeah, I don't know. There was just something up with her, and I'm just thinking out loud. Like, I don't think I'm gonna go down that direction. I don't think it's wise for me to do so I'm not going to. Yeah, I mean, it's not as if I met. Like I said, I didn't make lifelong friends down there. I didn't. I remember I took a class with a teacher who was. I think she was from Menneson. I know she was married to a teacher who taught at Menneson and he passed away. She taught public speaking. I think that's what it was. Everyone's called like oral calm now or some shit. I don't know. But I'm giving a speech and I'm looking back and she's falling asleep. So how could she grade me? Top notch quality instruction going on there. I mean, I can't say the place was as bad as KU, but Jesus, it was something else, let me tell you. I think people came in drunk. I mean, you gotta understand, I'm 18, 19. I was 20, 21 when I finished 3Cs. So, like, looking back, I guess, I don't know, like, do I take anything away from it? I mean, it helped me just transfer a bunch of credits to Cal that I didn't have to worry about taking, a bunch of junk courses. So I'm, appreciative of that. But, I was there in like a blink of an eye, to be honest with you. It wasn't as if anything special happened. I just find the experience worthy to talk about, because I kind of want to know whatever happened to some of these people I went there with, Some died. I know that I had classes with, like I said, random classes. Because I read the report, something, like, I was like, I know that name. That name's familiar. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I had class with her, and she died in a car wreck. Fiery car wreck. I was like, Jesus, what a shame. Yeah, but, oh, man. So, let me tell you something. If a teacher or professor or whatever tells you, hey, you're doing fine in this class, probably going to get an A, make sure you get it in writing, or you get it, or you record it and you play it back later. Because that's what happened with me and Professor Randall Slagle. I had a class with him. It was my last semester. And they were more worried about getting stuff together for the Steelers game than anything else. And he's like, oh, you're doing fine. You don't have to go help him hang something up. I said, all right, whatever. So, and also said I didn't have to come to class anymore. Didn't need to take the final. All right, I want to get an A. Graduate. And I got to go down to 3Cs to pick up the degree, by the way. Get my report card or whatever, get the grades. I'm getting a C. I said, nope, this ain't happening. Go down there, tell him, I was like, hey, he's like, oh no, I didn't go to that. And the guy was full of shit. I mean, he was full of shit. Yeah, he tried to push his agenda, I think. I mean, I know where his viewpoints were and where he stood with faith. But I found him to be in my personal opinion, just to be a hypocrite, because he did not practice what he preached. If such allegedness and allegations and speculations were true. And I'm sure some of those women whose names I shall not name, because this is like, years ago. But then I find out, through people who had went down there still and up to the same old tricks. And his dogs died at the vet. I'm not laughing at that, but because I was watching the news one day and he was going to sue because the vet killed the dog and didn't need a surgery or something. I don't know. It wasn't my experience was not terrible, but when you could tell it's like a third-rate operation going on as far as how people conducted themselves, how the professors conducted themselves. Like I could teach a class down there. I should teach a class down there. It's hilarious. But I remember this one kid, he had fallen ill, and I think it was the same class with like the crime scene. And I think he was doing it with the state cop. And that kid ended up being sick. I think he had appendicitis. He missed like the last week or two prior to like all this stuff, and he come in, and this guy was pissed. He's sitting there, he's like, I gotta be here. He's like, I'm sick. He's like, I said operate. He's like, yeah, I know, the professor, teacher, I know he sleeps with the students. I know this. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. I don't get dragged into this stuff. I do not want to get dragged into this stuff at all. But I wouldn't put it past that it's true, because people talk. And some of these women that, may have had things going on, they weren't the quiet type, because they would have thrown it back at somebody's face. You know, I don't know. And see, this is at the time that online classes were just being a thought, an idea, a possibility. And some guy had come in to one of the classes. I think he was like the head of the department or head of some department, I don't know. And wanted to get the opinions of, us at the time. And I think it was my last year, so I didn't care. I didn't participate and didn't give my thoughts because I'm thinking I want to be out of here. Online classes, no matter what anybody thinks about it, colleges are going to do because that's revenue that's coming in, plain and simple. And that's bottom line is the bottom dollar. If they're getting you to pay money and not have to come on campus, then so be it. Almost everybody's doing it now. And we had this, and that was practically the entire class time was this discussion. I remember the girl that I befriended. Like I said, I think she was from Charlotte or something. So I think her name started with an M. I don't know. Anyway, it was like, oh, God, trust me, if I wish I would remember some of the things that they said, because I don't. But I just remember the gist of it just being, why am I sitting listening to this stuff? I'm going to be gone. It's not going to matter. And Slagle doesn't teach anyway, so he's just losing classes. And that dude got Professor of the Year. I think a couple of years ago. I think I got in like a newsletter or something. I don't know. Just crazy. He lives around here. He lives in like Vernon now or something. But like I said, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm not going to track. I'm not. There's nothing in this that is, because I'm not saying he did anything. And that's the one thing about some of the episodes that I'm worried about is I slip up, say something that wasn't intended to be malicious because it was truth. And it's not liable because if it's the truth and prove it wrong, so you really can't get anything to read. I'm not saying that they're bad people. That's what, there's a huge difference. Anyway, I finished up my time at 3Cs and I went to KLU. I don't know. I haven't been back at 3Cs in years. I think like after I graduated, maybe like that fall, we go down, or that summer, we go down and play basketball. A couple of us. I don't know. I mean, it's a community college. I think it's a good start for those who may not know what they want to do. If they want to check out college, it's a good start to get some classes knocked out the way if you decide to transfer, or you could pick up certification, you pick up a 2-year degree. I'm not knocking, like I said, I'm not knocking a place. I said the major was easy. I think they're both still teaching down there. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they are. And I'm sure that the same opinions of us years ago exist today with students currently there in the criminal justice. It just, oh my God, it kicks me that I can't remember people. Because I remember this one girl, and I think the guy's name was Dave, and he was a fireman. And when 9/11 happened, apparently he drove all the way up there. I said, "Yep, the guy's a nice guy, just good for you." I don't know. So anyway, God damn, some of these people have they had dated, I guess, for a little bit, and then I remember the year we come back, it was the 01, 02, I think they're together, and I think we come back in that fall or some shit. And they're not together. And this chick, and she was, looks are the eye of the beholder. She's okay. It wasn't as if anything bad. I'm not gonna knock anybody's looks. I'd rather knock people's attitudes and outlooks instead of their looks, or their image, or Anyway, so she ended up dating some other guy. And I remember that guy went to Franklin Regional. Can't think of his name either. I know this has been such a fun episode to listen to, folks. I know. Mostly I'm just talking just to get this all out. It was fun. Oh yeah, and I remember. Yeah, so that was strange because I don't think that Dave dude came back to school. Maybe he became a full-time firefighter. I don't know. I remember a lot of. You remember the people who flake out on you, man. You know, like I had a couple people who were from home who I didn't rely on, but I was like, hey, can I get a ride? You know, I said, and it's like they didn't give a crap. I mean, one guy, I mean, he dropped out of pit, or not dropped out. He got practically kicked out because he flunked. He was a moron, and he came to 3Cs, and you know, he didn't take it serious. You know, so he didn't pick me up that much. You know, he forgot me. I was like, oh, forget this kid. You know, that's another thing with people I went to some of the people I went to high school with. They're a bunch of flakes. You couldn't trust them. And I'm like, you know, not all of them, just some people you think you could. You know. Yeah, I mean, I remember I met a couple of people there and stayed in touch with for a little bit. Like I said, saw down. I have this one girl. It's the drinking game. Just say every time McGee says, I remember, you know, take a shot. This one girl in particular, our classes with her, she went to 3Cs. She was a criminal justice major, obviously. And she transferred to Cal. And I would see her. I didn't transfer. I took a year off after I finished 3Cs. But my buddy was going to Cal, and he was graduating in spring 04. So like that fall 03, 04 year, we'd go down to the bars. I see her, and I see her talking to these guys, and I just remember her attire, 3C. She wore like which is cool, man. She had her own style. She was a nice girl. But anyway, I saw her one time in Cal Union, my first year down there. I transferred, and I'm walking, and you know, you get that fake, oh my God, it's so nice to see you. Well, that's what she did. Not it was like she was like, oh, how most, you know, annoying women do that. You know, women don't do that. Don't scream when you see people. Just stop that. It's not attractive. It's not cute. It's annoying. I wouldn't want to date women like that because I wouldn't know how to handle it. Ugh. And I would see her a few times, but I mean, I was like, you know, we weren't buddy at 3Cs. You know, we weren't. So don't put on this facade and act like, oh my God, so nice to see you. You know, no. Back it down. You know, hi, how are you? And, you know, like I said, I never really saw her that much. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like I was like, hey, let's hang out, you know, because I grew up in a generation with a lot of shallow women, a lot of women who were materialistic. It sucked. And that's just what some of those girls reminded me of. So it's down 3Cs. I'm like, ugh. You're still dealing with like immature people. Like, there's a whole world out there. But I'm not like much of a traveler. I'm really not. I couldn't care less because I always feel that there's a couple of types of people who travel. I'm veering off a little bit, but you know, people who go to places and brag about that they've been to those places. People who have to go for work. People who actually want to, you know, travel. Yeah, if I traveled, I'm not going to brag about it. I'm not going to post pictures. You know, I'm like, oh, look, I'm here. Good for you. Good for you. I don't care. All right, nobody's life is that interesting. It's not. Not on Instagram. Not on Snapchat. Not on anything. We think we are important, but we are not. So, that's the truth. I'm going to round out here shortly, and I just want to make sure I've covered everything because I don't want to come and do a remix like I'm going to do in a few episodes. A redo, so to speak. I don't want these long pauses, so that's why because I don't want to edit. I just want to do one continuous thought of talking. Yeah, man. 3 C's, man. What a trip. Get on 70 every day and drive down, back. And like I said, I got to thank all those people who were kind enough to help out, so family and friends. I really appreciate it. If anybody listens and did that. Because I have no idea how the hell I did it. When I talk about my time at KLU, that's going to be a lot more interesting. Because I had a lot more time there. And a lot more stories. And I lived on campus. And I do a lot of these episodes just to practice my speaking voice. And making sure I'm sounding the way I want to sound. Professional. Yeah, so. Any questions you have about this, feel free to contact me on Twitter at McGee Uncensored. Ask away. And you could find my YouTube channel, which I need to get 100 subscribers so I could customize it. So if you have YouTube and you see one of my videos, go to my channel, subscribe to it. Thank you. Yeah, that does it. There's no fancy sign off here. So thanks for tuning in my journey, my community college days. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too boring. And I will talk to you all again.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.